All right, welcome. That little light in the corner of the screen means we are live. Welcome everybody tuning in to the Fire Engineering Humpday Hangout. It is the first Wednesday of the month. The first Wednesday, of course, is focus on training, where Chief Halton and the folks at Fire Engineering are nice enough to let the International Society of Fire Service Instructors partner up for a monthly Humpday Hangout for various training topics. My name is Brad French. I'm a captain in the Dayton, Ohio Fire Department. I'm joined by my good friend, firefighter Jeremy Carnes. One of our guests today. We have a number of guests, a number of other regular co-hosts, and a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today. The topic of today's Hangout is going to be youth training programs in the fire service. I will say I was pleasantly surprised amongst the fellow co-hosts of how much interest we had in talking about this topic. I think we're going to have some great discussion today. We've got some fantastic guests lined up, and it should be a really good hour of discussion about youth training programs in the fire service. So we'll get through as much as we can today, and who knows, there may be so much to talk about with this topic that we end up rolling it forward to another month. We certainly have a lot of folks that we want to give the opportunity to speak a little bit on this topic. As we go across the next hour here or so, make sure if you have any questions or anything you want to chime in to the panel here, and we'll try to pick up those questions and answer them on social media. Use hashtag FETalk. Hashtag FETalk. So welcome everybody. We'll go down the line here in a little bit and allow the hosts and all of their guests to introduce themselves as we get into our topic. But first and foremost, I want to toss it over to Fire Engineering Editor-in-Chief and our Chief Elder, Chief Bobby Halton.
Well, thank you so much, Brad. I won't take up too much time. By the way, I'll be down in Florida in 2 weeks at the Florida Chiefs Conference, and I hope Chief Shaw comments on the great program that the Florida Chiefs have for mentoring folks, and it's a youth development program. And we were proud to donate a couple of passes to FDIC and to EMS Today for that really great program, and help to support it at an auction that they're going to be having. I apologize for I'm in the senior citizens home on the in the workout room here, and getting my time in so I can survive to tomorrow. That's my plan, tomorrow. And so my apologies, but other scheduling issues in my life necessitated me doing this at this time today, so, and I couldn't get around it. So my apologies for sounding like a winded old man, but I'm on mile 6 right now, so I'm almost halfway there. So when I'm only going to do 12 miles today because I'm a wuss. But so a couple of things real quick. EMS Today is coming up in February in Tampa. Love to see you all there. I'll be in Michigan next week with Rich Marinucci and the Michigan Chiefs, then down in Florida the week after that. And then the advisory board's coming into town, and we're going to be talking about FDIC and making all those decisions over the next few weeks. And then the hot team meets in August in Indy and makes the final cut on the HOT program. So lots of exciting stuff happening there. Lots of great organizations involved. And so I hope if you submitted, it works. If it didn't, just know that, like over, 1,200 people put in. So it's nothing personal, man. It's just like, if you're not writing for us and you're not on our radar, it's hard to evaluate your stuff, right? So if you want to get in, start writing, start doing stuff. And it doesn't have to be War and Peace either. It can be, man, the whole job is basics, right? It doesn't get any simpler than that. It ain't rocket surgery, as the man said. So, the basics build the excellence, and you can't be excellent without a strong foundation. So any level of contribution is much welcomed and appreciated. And by the way, tomorrow is Independence Day. Actually, the Declaration was signed on the 2nd. It was adopted on the 4th, just so we're all clear. And Betsy Ross was a patriot. So in front of my home, I'm flying the American flag and the Betsy Ross flag. If that offends anybody, you can be offended. It's your right. And you can kiss my Royal Irish behind, because I'll fly that flag proudly. I love this country. I love everything about it. Pretty much everything I do is for family, God, and country. And man, if that bothers you, go to China. They'll fix you. Okay, love you. God bless America. Stay out of trouble. And thank you to the Instruction Society for doing this month. I love you guys and have a great discussion. I think developing the next generation is critically important. And there's some great people, man. They're like locked on, hard charging. I mean, I love them. I'm jealous as heck. They got all their own hair and teeth, which I'm continually losing. So love you all. God bless. And God bless America. See you later.
All right. Thank you, Chief. All right, so Chief Holton is going to sign off. I will admit, in a couple of years of doing these Humpday Hangouts, I believe that is the first time we've had someone join in live via treadmill. But when you're the boss, you can do whatever you want. And so that was some good stuff there from Chief Holton. So we thank him for joining us. And I do believe he may have mentioned this, maybe not, but just as you're forecasting your training, scheduling time and dollars and so on and so forth, April 20th to 25th is the date in Indianapolis for FDIC International 2020. So with that, let's move forward a little bit. I mentioned Jeremy sitting here with me. We'll get back around to us here in a little bit, but I kind of want to start to work our way down the panel a little bit here. I think let's just very briefly maybe do some introductions first, and then we'll kind of get into some content from there. So Aaron, I'll kick it over to you and your guest.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Aaron Heller, one of the co-hosts for the Humpday Hangout on Training. I'm a captain in Hamilton, New Jersey, and I own On Scene Training Associates. And I've been blessed to be a part of FDIC for a good many years. This is a topic that's near and dear to me because I started as a junior fireman at 14 years old. So, and yes, we even were called firemen back then too. So, and I'm really fortunate with me today. I've got Don Kernan. Don served as the assistant chief in the New Egypt Fire Company here in Ocean County, New Jersey, and really is kind of the father of the high school-based programs here in our area. So I thought it was really, when you guys brought up this topic, thought it was perfect, and I knew that he would have a lot to offer. So
I was a 39-year-old new guy, and fire companies with 39-year-old new guys don't last. So I looked around and established we had a problem, and I was lucky that I had people around me who worked with me both at the firehouse and most importantly at the school. And we developed a program, and my first kids, I always call them my kids, my first kids are now my officers. So it's been working for a while, and it's my passion is getting young kids involved in the fire service.
Well, fantastic, Aaron and Don, happy to have you both. And we're going to come back around here in just a second, talk about some of those building blocks, some of those initial pieces that you need to put in place. My own organization, the Dayton Fire Department that Jeremy and I work for, has just gone through the process of doing that, along with some guidance from our command staff, Captain Mike Rice as well at our training division, and a lot of time and effort that Jeremy has put into this program about going through those building blocks. So I want to hear from him, and I want to hear from all you guys that can give some takeaways for those that are tuning in today as to how to start. How does this come about, and where does it get moving from? So anyways, we'll come back to that, but let's do a few more intros here. Steve Shaw, I'll kick it to you and your guest, sir.
Yes, sir. Steve Shaw, Battalion Chief, Training and Special Operations, Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue, proud member of this Humpday Hangout, and proud ISFSI member. With me today, I have a captain from Miramar, Orlando Segarra. He's from Miramar Fire Rescue, just a little bit southwest of us, and I'll let him do a brief introduction.
Good afternoon. Actually, it's been an honor that the chief told me to come in on the winter for 6 years. We run a program. We're the only ones right now in Broward County. So anything you guys need, it's great. And Chief, if you're still there, I'm trying to keep up with you so I can run more miles with you.
Hey, Chief Shaw, I'm not quite sure why, but I was hearing you, but I think we lost your video feed somehow. I'm not quite sure why. We heard all that, but we lost your video. So maybe try to log out and log back in real quick, Chief Shaw, and maybe we get you back on video.
You got it.
All right, let's move on. Paul Perry, introduce yourself to everybody a little bit. You were kind of one of the catalysts for getting this topic going a little bit. Paul and I have interacted through several ISFSI-related events over the past couple of years, and I know that this is a topic that he's passionate about, and so we're very happy to have him today. And so, Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
All right, thanks a lot, Brad. Hey, I appreciate being here today. Yeah, this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. I come from a volunteer world, Troy Township here in Ohio, in Northwest Ohio. I've been here doing this for about 19 years as a firefighter, but most recently I took on a job at Penta Career Center as the high school fire program instructor, where we teach juniors and seniors. The big challenge that we're facing in Northwest Ohio and our volunteer departments is that the recruitment of new folks, and a lot of people are just not wanting to step up. And adult life is busy. We have a great opportunity here at Penta to where we're feeding in from 16 different school districts that are covering into Penta Career Center, which, when you start to add up the departments that are within those districts, I mean, we're covering a wide variety of fire departments here in Northwest Ohio that we can potentially be feeding fully qualified firefighters to at graduation day. So, I'm looking forward to see how this conversation goes today. I think it's going to be good. I hope that a lot of people are taking some notes and going to ask some questions to us. I believe that every school district in the United States could benefit from a program like this. And, that's not even talking the Explorer programs and cadet programs that are embedded within the fire departments that I've had the privilege of running at my own local department on top of the high school program here at Penta. So, I look forward to seeing what transpires here today, and I appreciate you all buying in on this and coming on board.
So Paul, I think we'll just stick with you while we've got you going here. Did you start the program from scratch there at Penta?
I did not. This program was started in 2008. We had some troubled times throughout it, but it just seems as though the last few years here, I'm getting ready to start my third school year here. I've devoted a lot of time to it. We've jumped across a lot of hurdles, because one biggest thing that we don't have is we don't have our own charter. So we're relying on an outside charter to help us out. And right now we're partnered with Bowling Green State University State Fire School, which has been a huge asset to us to be able to do some things. But it's just getting the school itself to fully commit to the program, to make it to a top-notch program is the key to everything. And right now, we're producing the results, and the school is backing us, and we got a lot of good stuff going on right now.
Oh, excellent. I'm going to turn here to Jeremy Carnes from Dayton Fire. Just what are some of the things that, as you've gone through this process of developing this, and as we start to launch here soon, some kind of building block items that if you've learned something over the past several months that, man, I wish I knew that a year ago when we started this process, what do you wish you would have known, or what are some important features of building a program?
No, the most important features are getting the equipment and things in place that we know needs to go into teaching an academy. So building a program from the ground up is where the difficulties lie. And so, acquisition of assets is one thing that I wish I had a better grasp on right now. Starting out, we're beg, borrowing, and stealing because there's no funds allocated to the program until the program actually exists. So my program doesn't exist until August 12th, but I'm going to need equipment starting August 12th. So that's one of the things that is one of the biggest hurdles.
Getting stuff, just getting
yes.
equipment.
Right. And I'm blessed with the Dayton program. We have overwhelming support from not only our fire department administration, but the Dayton Public Schools administration as well. And city administration all the way up to the city manager and city commission are supporting this and throwing every resource at it that we can. And so things are just falling into place wonderfully right now.
So getting everybody on board, and I would imagine all the rest of you probably agree, right? Getting all of those players on board in is a critical element right from the get-go, right? Having the right people in the right meetings at the right time, so you have that support system built from the get-go. Steve Shaw, let's kick it over. Let's kick it over to you. What are some of your thoughts on this, and the chief that you brought with you? I'm sorry, his name's escaping me at the moment, but some of his thoughts on some of the early stages of someone building a new program.
So, well, first things first. How's my video feed? Is it okay?
Yeah. Yes. I see
Okay.
I see your pretty face, sir.
Is
Not-
my
nothing
line
else,
strong? Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Well, I'm glad to bring Orlando in here. He's from Miramar, and he's got a lot more experience with this than I do. We run in the same circles between the ISFSI, between our training group here in Broward, and he's one of our subject matter experts when it comes to this. So I'll kind of let him kind of describe what he's got going on over in Miramar.
Great. My name is simple to remember. Yes, remember Disney, Orlando. We started 6 years ago. We started it fresh from the ground. I was one of the ones to start it. It was rough. The first 2 years, it was rough. The school board was 100% with it. They were giving us the funds, and then last year they came up to me and says, "I need your help. We don't have the funds." We went straight to the city manager. The city manager loved the program because it's all community based, and that's what we're helping the new generation of kids. We've been running it since last year on our own budget. So we've had the hardest part I think I've been having is keeping instructors. In the state of Florida, they have to have instructor one. And it's very hard. So what we did was, with meeting with Cape Coral on the west coast of Florida, that they have a perfect program. I got some ideas with them, and I created a shift, 3 instructors. It works great. I'm the 4th one. If something happens, then I actually jump in. Logistically, with the tools, logistically, with having the equipment, I think the part I have is when we do the life burn is having bunker gear. Because what we use for every day is just use bunker gear, but for the burn, I got to have up-to-date bunker gear, and that's the hardest part we have. So it's been a challenge. It's rewarding. We start from 10th grade all the way down to seniors. I start with 45 when they start. They have no clue, and I graduate maybe 15. In 6 years, I think I've had more of the students go to the military than actually the fire service, and that's great. I love that. But I haven't had none yet in the fire service to join in our program.
Well, that's excellent. That's neat to hear. There's always going to be challenges with things, but and heck, I would consider even anybody going to the military to be a success out of your program as well. That's sounds like some great stuff you're doing down there. Aaron, I think we just lost Aaron again. I think he was logging out and logging back in due to a little bit of technical stuff there. That's okay. So I'll tell you what, Paul, we'll come back around to you again, brother. And as you manage your program, what's the day-to-day? What's a typical day as a student in the program? What does that look like as far as schedule-wise goes? And for you as a manager of that program, are you doing all the teaching? Are you kind of subcontracting some of that teaching out to others? And then when you do need to do something heavy hands-on, you need to beef it up for a burn day or something like that. How does that all lay out for you?
Yeah, so a typical day here at Penta for our kids is I get my seniors in the morning. I get those students for 3 hours every day, Monday through Friday, in the morning, and then in the afternoon after lunch, I get the junior class for 3 hours as well. So I have a pretty good amount of time that I get to spend with them every day. As far as me doing the instruction, I do a good portion of it, but I have a lot of great instructors that come in and help me out who are specialized in many different things. So, it's a really big mix of instructors that's coming in, not only just me standing up in the front of the classroom teaching all day. They get up doing a lot too. When it comes to our burn days and heavy hands-on days, things like that, we've been pretty fortunate, with the instructor group that we have and the close training facilities we have up in Maumee, and Toledo Fire is our big city department around here that's very, very supportive of our program, although they're not even one of the school districts that feeds into our program, but they're still very supportive of the program. They've had several acquired structures that they've built several props and stuff in. So I load the kids up on the school bus. We head to the training grounds, whether we're going to Maumee or we're going to Toledo, wherever we're going, and then the instructors meet us there. I have anywhere from 3 to 5 instructors, just depending on the day. Burn days, we're anywhere from 5 to 7 instructors at least that are there, just kind of depending on the evolutions that we're doing those particular days. Now I'm hearing, equipment, getting equipment and things like that for our programs is tough. And I'm not sure how exactly everybody else is set up, but at Penta here, we have our own advisory committee just for our program. That's made up of firefighters and officers and chiefs from around surrounding departments. And, I just put the word out to them, hey, I need this, or I'm looking for this. And they come to you. Now, I'll tell you, though, you got to be careful because, sometimes you get those few individuals in the community that just kind of want to dump things on you that you don't really need. But, sometimes you get the good stuff. I was very fortunate. Perrysburg City Fire Department that we work hand in hand with donated me a 94 fire engine that's beautiful. It runs great. I got air packs donated from them. So, building those relationships with those folks. And as far back to the training and the hands-on stuff, Penta Career Center last year committed to building me a 2-story house here on campus that we're going to use as a search house. We got it set up for doing ladder bailouts, and the whole big game of things. And they're telling me that there's possibly some more pieces to this training facility coming this year with some roof ventilation simulators and different parts and pieces. So, my instructors that I have, they buy in 100%. They absolutely love coming here, working with these kids. And, our common goal is to provide these kids with the best education and training that we can, because, after high school, they're going to a department. It could be your department, it could be mine, it could be anybody's. And we want to make sure that they're fully trained and ready to go.
All right, that's sounds like some exciting stuff. That's a good problem to have a lot of discussion about additional props and training facilities and stuff like that. That's excellent. Aaron, you're back. Let's kick it over to you, brother, and give Don a chance to talk a little bit about his program and some of the things that he's learned along the way.
Absolutely. So, where I come from in Mercer County, we had it through basically through the college, through the vocational program at the academy. High school seniors could be brought into the program, and they came out of it with their Fire 1, with their hazmat awareness ops, their EMT, and their dispatching credentials. So it was a 1-year program for seniors in high school, and it was a fantastic program for quite a while. In fact, in Hamilton, where I work, we have a large number of their former students who came on the job and have actually matriculated through, and now are company officers on the career side. One of the guys who went through that program is a lieutenant in Philadelphia now. But the problem and the pitfall that they found with the program was that problem students in some of the high schools throughout the county were getting dumped into the program. And it was, hey, this kid's really a pain in the butt in class. He could use a vocational program of some sort. Maybe you firemen can take care of him. And they would run them down the line. And then there was a lot of discipline problems. And you could only do so much discipline at that level vocationally. And it had to go back to the school itself. And it really became a problem issue. And our county ended up getting to the point where they canceled the program, which is, in my opinion, was one of the worst decisions they could have made, because it has been a fantastic feeder for our county. And we've got some damn good firemen and officers because of that program, in my opinion. And we caught them, maybe we caught some kids who might have had problems down the road, but this caught them and helped them. But the disciplinary end of it became the issue, and the multi-jurisdictional disciplinary end of it became a really big issue. So that was something that I think that when the program was established, it probably wasn't delineated out clearly enough. The current director, really had his hands tied, and finally he said, I'm spending a lot of time on this deal, and this is not what I want to do anymore. So I hope that one day they fix that problem. I'll kick it over to Don, but I will tell you this. I started as a 14-year-old with no guidance in a junior program as a volunteer fireman. Went to the Burlington County Fire Academy at 16 years old. I wasn't driving yet. Rode with a buddy of mine who was going in the Marine Corps, and he was a year ahead of me. So he was my ride. And I graduated the Fire Academy and still wasn't even age requirement wise in child labor laws in New Jersey. I couldn't go in and do interior structural firefighting, yet I was completely certified when I walked out of that academy. And so the laws changed a lot. Granted, that was the early 80s. Things changed a bit. But it was what propelled my career to what it is today. Without that first step, who knows? Maybe this never would have happened for me. So, you know, I believe wholeheartedly that we've got to grab this group. These young kids have all the ability in the world and all the energy in the world, and if harnessed and given the right direction, and programs like what you have out in Ohio and what you guys are doing right there in Dayton and what Don is working on, everything that we're doing, this is the path. We're trying to give these guys some direction. You know, instead of crapping on the kids and the millennials, let's give them direction. And I think these programs really do that. So, Don?
Yeah, the big difference is that I saw is, as I said, I was a 39-year-old new guy, was, and talking to the guys who came before me, is you're just not getting the kids to come through that door anymore. And you're expecting, you know, your father wasn't your grandfather, and you're not getting those kids anymore. So for me, the choice was simple. You got to go get them. And the place to go get them is at the school. So the most important part is finding the right guy in your own fire company to run this program. He has to be an advocate. He has to be their best friend and their worst enemy. He has to deal with the issues that you guys talked about. You know, throughout my time doing the program, there's only been one kid I didn't threaten to throw out. Only one kid at some time or level. And you have to get the right guy at the school. There is some truth to, I always say that the school is not sending me Rhodes Scholars, but I was very fortunate enough to have the right counselor at the school. There were times when, if the kids got in trouble at school, I learned about it before the parents. There were the program that Aaron talks about. It is a different county than mine. I'm in Ocean County, he was in Mercer County, but we were able to send kids to, when the program was good, to another county. I went to the superintendent. I asked for the money. It was $20,000 a student that we got to send these kids, and the program was great. But the most important thing that I see is you finding the right guy. He's got to be committed. I don't think you should be a chief officer. I think you should have instructor. Chiefs have enough to do. And when it comes time for discipline, he might be caught in the middle. So the biggest thing is you have to realize that you have a problem, and you got to go to where the kids are, because they're just not coming through anymore. They're not coming through the door, and you have to go get them.
You know, several things that, as we've been talking about over the past few minutes, just different things running around in my head. One of the things was preparation. I think I'd like to just briefly kind of talk to, because we have several states represented here, what the actual required preparation from your standpoint, right? We talk a lot about how the program needs to develop and how to get the right kids involved and things like that. But you as an instructor, and as somebody developing the program, what has gone into it? Maybe both philosophically and then maybe quite literally. And I'll start with Jeremy here. What, as you've gotten our program going, are there things through the that are required of you as far as training by the school system, and things like that, or what has gone into you being prepared to take this on?
So for the Ohio Department of Education, I had to fill out my paperwork, CTE, Career Technical Education 36 and 37. That's to apply for the teaching license to teach inside the schools. And then along with that, there's coursework that has to go along with it throughout my time in the schools. So that's just on the administrative end. So I'm able to go into the high schools and teach in the high school setting.
Now, will you be the only one that has to go through that process, or will any supplementary instructors have to go through that training?
So Yes and no. So the CTE 37, making the application is something that everybody is going to have to do who has contact with the students in our program, and as well the college coursework part of it. Those instructors will have to complete some of that as well, but not the entire.
And so your students will be gaining college credits as they move through the program. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. So level 1 EMT are college level courses, and the agreement that the school in Sinclair has worked out, the kids get for gaining those certifications, they get the applicable credits for Sinclair. In addition to that, all of my students graduating Dayton Public Schools, once they graduate with the certification, they will be awarded monies to continue their education at Sinclair beginning the fall after their senior year, as long as they continue without gap.
Now, will there be any kind of, and I'll be curious to hear from all the other panelists as well, will there be any kind of, other than just simply you encouraging them along the way, any kind of ways towards a job or anything like that? Is there a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak?
So yes, we in the city of Dayton, this whole program came about as a direct result of our recruitment efforts over the last 10 years. And we recently, in our recruitment efforts, about the homegrown heroes. And part of the homegrown heroes process, part of the way the city of Dayton hires, we do hire civilian EMS, so EMTs and paramedics from the civilian world. We hire them on as civilian EMTs. And then now with the Homegrown Heroes program, we have an opportunity to promote them to firefighters. So back that up a little bit more, we have to, as we move our current EMS into fire roles, we have to replenish that EMS pipeline. And what better way to do it than to have a program in the
ones that you've already trained.
That we've already trained under Dayton Fire's charter, in addition to all the other career technical institutions around the state of Ohio. Those kids, and we reach out to all those other programs as well. And all of our recruitment materials, any chartered fire or EMS training institute in Ohio, they get a job announcement from the Dayton Fire Department when we are taking applications.
Nice.
So that's just our part of resupplying that pipeline for our Homegrown Heroes.
Okay. So I want to kick both of those. That was kind of two questions in one, I suppose, but I'll kick that down the line as well. Any kind of things that you would want potential instructors or somebody that's getting ready to take on this program to know as far as legal requirements, just as an example from the areas that you're from, the training that you need to have, and then also, if you can, segue that into, does the outcome of the program lead into any kind of a job pipeline? So Steve and Orlando, let's start down with you two.
We do different everything here. The fire program in our district is run by the Broward School, even though we are part of it. Legal wise, what we do with the Broward School is that we offer the facility, the logistical part of the instructors. And we have 3 instructors. They're paid overtime, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then they rotate. And I actually don't teach, but if I have to, I cover in case something happens. So in our end, we also operate with the State Fire College, and the State Fire College recommends some hours that we have to maintain. That's why I mentioned the burn. We have to do a burn with these students. I've joined with the forestry, and the forestry actually helps us out a lot because we have to have the hours of the forestry. So legally wise, we do run with the school board. I think the challenge, like I heard everyone here, is that they send me, they open it up for anybody, and these kids go in there and have no idea what program they're getting into. And that's the hard part. I start with a class of 50, and it's rough. And when the instructors have an issue, then they call me, and I have to go in there and I actually lead the students in a nice way. Somebody mentioned that it takes a special person to run these programs. It really does. Right now, I'm interviewing for 3 more instructors, and I told my instructors, they're the ones who are picking. I can't pick a regular individual who has 6 years in the service and has the certificate as an instructor to teach. It takes a special person to deal with these kids. And again, we don't run this like a fire academy, like a regular fire academy is. I can't go in there being strict. So you have to learn how to deal with these kids. And psychology, it takes a lot. And I don't know what it is, but I've been blessed. I have the compassion because I feel that this is something that I didn't have when I was growing up. And I tell these kids, listen, and you have something that you have a gift. And the way I tell these kids when they come in, I will treat you like an adult, but the day that you do something and you guide me, I will treat you like a kid. And you should see their faces. And these are 10th graders. So I've learned to deal with that. It's hard. It's how to be a speaker with this new generation that's coming in, that they're all coming in with phones and headsets. And like somebody says, I have no right to discipline these kids. And that's the hard part. But it runs in different states, different ways. But it takes a special person to really run this program. It really is. I don't know the future because the politics plays a lot of this program. Depending what principal I get next year, might not like this program. And this is it. So there's a lot of obstacles. It's just, it's you take it day by day. And like all these speakers spoke, it takes a special person, a special program, and the backing of the chief and the city. That's number one. And they don't have that backing, I don't think this program can succeed.
Excellent. And Cap, while we've got you on there, just to kind of follow up with the other half of that, is there anything, once they graduate the program, are they on equal footing with any other random person that's got the training on their own, or is there any kind of leg up or a pipeline towards jobs for them?
Well, we don't offer any job. What we'll do is half of these students are actually cadets. We have a cadet program in our fire department, so they're sometimes together. I haven't had, but if something happens that they have all their certificates and they come to us and we are applying, they're able to apply, they'll get points. And that way we'll be able, but they're going to have to do the whole process like everybody else. But they'll have some points that they might be the first individual in that community that the high school was offered that, and we'll be able to hire them. Yes. But we don't offer it. We don't go in there saying you got a guaranteed job. No, we don't do that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Paul, let's kick it back over to you. What are some things that you do that you did to get yourself prepared for that program, or maybe something you wish you would have done and have had to kind of make up in the meantime? And then also just quickly touch on that question about any leg up on job for any of your graduates, or are they just in line with everybody else?
Yeah, so taking on this job, it was all brand new to me coming to a high school. Now I worked with the Explorer programs and cadet programs at my own department and some of our neighboring departments, but coming into a high school and teaching firefighter stuff to high school students, it was like we were saying, it does take that special type of person to be able to do that, because it's not like sitting at your local college teaching adults, being able to in the adult world. When you're talking kids, it's a whole different ball game. And a lot of these kids are all coming from every walk of life imaginable in the community. And and most importantly, these kids a lot of times don't have the support at home, so they're looking for somebody to provide that support to them. So you're kind of like a major mentor to these kids in their life. And I like to tell people is every kid has a story to tell, and they're just waiting for somebody to sit down and listen to that story. And once you listen to their story, you can relate to them and build that bond with them and be able to trust with them. Here at Penta, we do run a semi-academy style type class. We do PT 2-3 days a week. They're with me for 3 hours a day. They're with me longer than what they're with their academics in the afternoon. So, I'm the reason, my class is the reason that they chose to leave their home school and come to Penta Career Center, because they're leaving their actual high school to come here. So, in all my instructors, I explain that to them when they come on board, especially the new ones, is that, you got to be careful though, because these kids will suck you in. you know, and that's not the path you want to be. You want to be there as a mentor. I mean, I've given advice on life and everything else to some of these kids and helped them get jobs and, you know, and just normal jobs, not fire jobs. Well, I've helped them with fire jobs too, but, you know, it's just really a unique thing to be part of, but it is a very rewarding thing as an instructor to be able to teach these kids. So, you know, we talk about, you know, the placement of the kids when they leave the program and go on. You know, I've had several that have joined the ranks of different departments in our area, some full-time, some part-time, some volunteer. We've been very, very fortunate, you know, and in the history of this program, you know, like I was talking to you before, Brad, through the text messages is, you know, I can bring in several individuals here that because of their training that they got during this program before my time, even that they've been able to get full-time careers. And some of them are officers on departments. My EMS chief at my local fire department is actually a graduate of the Penta Career Center program here. So, you know, the chiefs in our area are fully buying into the program. I just had a conversation here back in May with one of them about, hey, you know, how can you help me get more people on my list? Because they're struggling to get candidates on their list. And, you know, some entry requirements that they have, they need to adjust. And, you know, so we're in the midst of talking with them about, you know, how can we feed more kids from Penta to attract them to take their test and become eligible on their list for their fire department. So, you know, it's you know, as far as jobs, it's up to the kid. You know, the kid has to put the legwork. I can recommend them, hey, go to Toledo, go to Perrysburg, go to Maumee, go here, go there. But, you know, if they're not willing to go out and do the legwork, then, you know, that's on them. But, you know, they're not guaranteed any job when they leave here. You know, their guarantee, their award is their certificates and their state cards when they leave. So.
Sure, and you know, I think it's important for us to kind of collect those stories and know some of those success stories, because then you can then turn that around to try to attract others, right? You can say, hey, look at student X here, that they came in with this, they had a bad attitude, they weren't doing well in school, they whatever. And throughout the course of that program, they become this tremendous success story and get a job at a local fire department, promote and all that kind of stuff. And then to have those kind of stories as background to you know, as you have to campaign probably for the funding to continue the programs over the years and things like that, and to try to attract students. I think those success stories are so important, Paul. I'm glad to hear that you've got several of those, and I would imagine everybody does. And we look forward in Dayton to developing our own series of success stories about that stuff and bringing some of Jeremy's young members into our ranks in the years down the line. Aaron, I want to kick it back down to you. I know you guys had to jump off and jump back on there. You guys pretty much chat about whatever you want, but where we were going in the past few minutes was some of the things that goes into the training to be prepared to do this, and maybe some things that, hey, you know, I wish I would have done this as far as personal preparation, and then also, you know, career pipeline. What has that led to? I know you mentioned that there's somebody, I believe you said that there's a lieutenant at Hamilton maybe or something like that was in a program that you were involved in. So are there any ways to help with employment as far as taking the express route after one of these programs is completed?
Yeah, so I'll go over with what we're doing in Mercer and what we did in Mercer. First thing was that when it came to our instructors, we were already employees of the college because the fire academy was taken over by the college. So we were already vetted. We already had the ability to work with that level of student. So there wasn't anything new that we had to do for that. We were already taking firefighter 1 students and you know, 18-year-olds. So it really wasn't a problem. There was no additional responsibilities for staff members, no additional training, no additional certification. I believe, if I recall, the college would send somebody in to give us a brief update, some kind of task-oriented stuff that we should be looking into as far as teaching levels go. But that was really it at that point. One of the other things that we had to be really cognizant of, and I guess they still do, is the child labor laws in New Jersey are pretty tight. So unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with these students until certain ages, and then we have to really be aware of that and stay within those laws, as well as whatever the curriculum is for the academy itself. You know, whoever's there was a time where we were a Del Mar state, then we were an IFSTA state, and we've been back and forth. So the curriculum has really been based. It's a state curriculum. We don't have any real say in that, not a lot of leeway in that at the academy level. The state actually bids that out, which you know how government bids work, and certainly in the state of New Jersey, what a treat that is. So that was always a challenge, believe me. But as far as the pipeline goes for us in Hamilton and Mercer, if I'm not mistaken, 2, maybe 3 of the people who went through that program are now captains in Hamilton. And we're not a huge department, but we're 130 career staff, and pretty busy place with 8 stations. One of the guys that went through it started as a volunteer in Hamilton, got on the job in Howard County, Maryland, through that, you know, got his program stuff through that, and now is actually a lieutenant in the Philadelphia Fire Department. And from what I understand, is assigned to the training division right now, running Proby schools. So that's really kind of, I think Kevin would probably be the highest success level you could get so far with that kind of thing. So it's been a very worthy program for that. But the biggest thing for us, we didn't have the issues that you guys have as far as equipment, as far as facilities and some of those things, because it was already all in place, and the college immediately accepted it, and it went from there. But our challenge has been that they canned the program when they were tired of dealing with discipline. So that's the big issue there. I think Don's got a way better spin on something that none of us have for the most part, except for maybe Paul, where with the volunteer fire companies, and that's such a necessary thing around here, because like everywhere in the country, the volunteer fire service numbers are dwindling like crazy. And how do you engage these kids and bring them in? And again, like with us, and Don and I were talking about this just before we went on the air, how do you engage them, keep them engaged? Oh, and we can only allow you to do certain things because of the child labor laws. And that's a pain in the ass, to be honest. They were just in Maine doing a New England Fools thing, and that's one of the things they had to consider, because they allowed some of those students to participate, which is cool, but you have to be careful of it. So I'll kick it to Don.
As Aaron said, I come from more of a volunteer point of view. That's where I come from, and where the first battle that I always see is it starts in the meeting room. Old school thinking, they don't want kids. They don't want kids around the fire. They don't want kids if you have a bar or something, they don't want the kids there. And that's, to me, is where the first battle starts. You talked about legality. You have to set up through your company, a lawyer, SOPs, what the kids can do, when the kids can do it. You set up, we battle back and forth about what times they can respond, on weekends, on weekdays, whether or not they can be part of, if you're a volunteer company making money, if there's going to be liquor there, what they can do. There's so many things, and the best way is start with your attorney, get good SOPs reviewed by him and in place before you start the program, before you bring the first kid through the door. You have to get that in place before you can do anything, because after that, if you don't do that, then you're catching up, and you're constantly fighting the battle in the meeting room about what these kids may or may not do. And that's the thing. A lot of times you're fighting the battle of things that'll never happen. The old school thinking is, they're looking for the worst possible incident, and it never happens. Have we had problems? Yeah. Have we thrown kids out? Yeah. But most of the time, you're fighting battles in there you never need to fight. So if you get you get the SOPs in place, and you can't look for every possible incident, but you have the ones the most likely in place and dealt with, then you can go from there. As far as the other part, you said the express route. I found that, in the 15 years I've been doing this, the kids have changed, and mostly all looking for the express route now. They want to come out of fire school and they want to go on the job. It's the instant gratification, the Jersey Shore syndrome. They want everything right now, and you have to be honest with them up front, and tell them that most fire companies are only going to want at least 3 years experience after Fire One, and you have to mentor. The mentoring doesn't stop when they reach 18 and when they go through Fire One. You have to mentor them throughout their entire career because that's part of the job. I have had a couple guys go on to be on the job from either my company or mutual aid companies that I worked with. I believe we have one on at New Egypt from Allentown. Mm-hmm. There was one of the kids I taught. The mutual aid companies would send their kids on our junior nights, and I started with him working with us, and now he's actually come all the way around full circle and is working at New Egypt as a career staff. So you have to. There is a feeder program. You have to temper it. I always say if you get 10 kids to walk through that door, in 4 years you have 3. 5 are going to wash out the first year. It's not what they want, or they were under false illusions about what it's all about. If you can get 3 kids every year, that works. That works for a volunteer fire company.
Yeah, and then at least you know that those 3 that you ended up with at the end of the time were the ones that really wanted to be there and were the most engaged, and hopefully somebody good for a long time.
And one other thing is we've also had 2 of our kids go through that started with us. As I said, we're not getting Rhodes Scholars, but 2 of them went on to very, very good military careers. One was a Marine Guard at the Moscow Embassy for a few years. So it has played out. It has played forward to not only fire careers, but also military careers.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. One of the things, something else I'd like to try to get in here towards as we make our way towards the end is somebody mentioned earlier a little bit, and I think we had a blurb in the description of our Humpday Hangout today about Explorer programs, and we probably don't have time to go way down that road, but somebody brought up earlier ride time and things like that, and it made me think of our Explorer program that we have in Dayton Fire and how they oftentimes come right along. So I'll ask Jeremy, is there any, what will be the interaction between your program and the local Dayton Fire Department Explorer program, if any, and what will that mean to the program?
So basically, we're going to encourage all the kids that enroll in our program to enroll also in our Explorer program. But a majority of our classes will be taught out of the City of Dayton Firehouse anyway. So Station 15, in close proximity to the high school we're working with. That's where a lot of our physical instruction is.
Will they be able to ride along on the incidents?
So once they meet the age parameters and everything set forth by the department, I mean, they have to do everything that everybody else does in order to ride along. And you got to understand, I'm starting with freshmen and then going to senior year. So junior, senior year, once they're in their certification courses, by all means, yeah, come
sure.
right along.
Sure.
So.
What Chief Shaw, I'll kick it down to you guys. What do you guys have any interaction with Explorer programs down there, and how does that work?
Also, yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to say, yeah, our Explorer programs down here are pretty robust, to be quite honest. We've hired several of our more recent hires from our Explorer programs, and I got to tell you, they're rock stars. And that's important because you just mentioned before that some of these programs may generate only a small number of folk that you get. But as we know, and it's been a big topic of discussion, you want to hire the right people from the get. You want the right quality people from the get-go. And these folk, the small number you may have, listen, for the most part, those are going to be some quality folk right there. I had a call that came in. It was, anyway, but they're going to be some quality folk right there. So I got to tell you, that may be a small number, but you want those folk. You want those good quality people. And from the training side, I got to tell you, man, I wish that I got a recruit class going on right now. My 8th one being in training right here. I'm getting old, man. I'm 6 years in training right now. I feel old right now. But I wish I saw more from the high school programs. I wish I saw more Explorers. So I'm glad I have a champion like Orlando that's running their program over there because, like you said before, you need that champion. You need that advocate. Without that person, I got to tell you, there's no reason to even do the program. You need that program to have that person, that spearhead, that cheerleader, if you will. Not meaning you're a cheerleader or anything, but you look good either way. But you need that passionate person behind it. This is my spirit animal, by the way. Just so you know, that's our relationship. He's my spirit animal. But yeah, I'll let you talk about Explorers for a second, bro.
I'm like the chief here. We have two. We have the high school plus our Explorer, and we do have the right time only for the Explorer. I can't do that for the high school program. But he's correct. I mean, and that's what success we have with our programs when I have that the student does dual. They are in the high school program and also in the cadet program. That makes it so easy. And actually, they're our advocate because they're the one that go back and says to the other kids, hey, listen, this is a perfect program. Don't mess it up. So it doing both really works. It's a lot of work. I'm not involved too much with the Explorer. I help out. We started that 6 years ago again. And let me tell you, I think the important thing is somebody says that there is, my theory is if you can touch one heart, that's it. One kid's heart, it's going to be a domino effect. And I'm a believer in that. We have good, beautiful stories that, again, they've gone to the military. And believe me, that is beautiful. So.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Paul, let's go back to you. Any interaction with an Explorer program up in your area?
Yeah, we got quite a few different Explorer options around here for our students. And just like the others have said, I encourage every one of my students to get involved in those programs. They're getting training here at school, but then they go out for their weekly drill with the Explorer program, and they're getting more training there. And then it's a recruitment tool as well for us into this program. In my own department at Troy Township, we have a very successful program that we partner up with a couple different departments around us that don't necessarily have Explorer programs. And we've been able to capture some of those kids coming to the Penta program, but they've been huge feeder programs for our 2-3 area fire departments that we have there that are volunteer that we send there, and those kids work their butts off. I mean, just like in the classroom here, those who truly want to do it will go out and seek those programs. But the other thing that I tell a lot of my students here through the Penta program is just go knock on the door of your local fire department. Majority of them are volunteer-based departments. I know a lot when their drill nights are and stuff, and say, hey, it's Tuesday night. Troy Township's got drill. Go up there and knock on their department and say, hey, is there something I can do? Can I come in and watch? Start mixing in with the people, even if they don't have an Explorer program. There's not very many departments that's going to slam the door on you and tell you to go away. They all need the help. So if they got a willing kid that wants to come and help out, they're going to take advantage of that, and that's probably their next firefighter. So I'm a strong believer in the Explorer programs. Because here again, it's just another pool of people that we're feeding into the fire service through youth programs.
Aaron, what about in New Jersey? Is there interaction between the high school programs and the Explorer programs, or are they one and the same, or how does that dynamic work?
All the ones that I've been involved with have really gone separate paths. What we found when we first started researching the New Egypt program was that the Explorer program was going to handcuff us a little bit more. There were some more rules with it, and it definitely didn't allow the same leeway that we could do without it. So there were those conversations between scouts and some other things. And actually the attorney kind of led us down a different path, felt that we would be a little better served staying away from it. In Mercer County, where I work, I don't know of any at all Explorer programs. In fact, now we actually have the kid's called an intern because he wasn't part of any program, but they wanted him to get into the fire service, and there was nothing for him to get into anymore. So we brought him in as an intern. Now when he turns 18, we make him officially a member, but as a volunteer, quote unquote, until he gets through his academy and does all that. So, but we kind of steered away from Explorer because it tended to handcuff us a little bit more than we were comfortable with at the time.
And as somebody who's had that large age group on the training grounds, there is a definite. It's harder to teach that wide area. You have attention spans. Kids at 14 and 15 are not paying attention like the kids at 16 and 17.
All right, we've made our way back towards the top of the hour here. What I think I'd like to close with, if everybody would be willing to do so, is we'll run down the line again. I'm all about lessons learned, passing on stuff to those that take the time to tune into these broadcasts, right? So just in a sentence or two, those of you that have dealt with this stuff, what's something that you would tell somebody walking in the door saying, hey, well, I'm getting ready to start a high school explorer program. What should I know? Just something, just some nugget that you've developed over the course of your time managing or developing one of these programs. And Aaron, you're still up on my screen, so we'll start with you and Don.
I think the biggest recommendation I would give is, number one, don't rush into it. As Don had said earlier, and I'm not going to steal his thunder, but lay out a plan, have a roadmap to where you want to go with the program. Because otherwise you'll fall into some serious, there'll be pitfalls, and they can be very, very dangerous ones because the age groups we're dealing with. So I would say make sure all our ducks are really in a row before we offer this and open it up. But I think this is the way of the future. We have to do this. It's very important that we look to the future of the fire service. You know, again, old guys like me can only do this so long. We need that evolution, and we got to do that planning because we can't ever go extinct, so we have to share this and bring them in. So I think it's exciting and it's important. But I would have a roadmap laid out prior to jumping in both feet.
From a volunteer standpoint, absolutely. You have to have it before you even bring that first kid in through that door. You have to have everything set in place, and you can't wait. You can't wait for them to walk. You got to go get them. And if you have any really questions, look up my article, The ABCs of Starting a Junior Firefighter Program in Fire Engineering Magazine.
All right.
Shameless plug.
No, that's really good. Hey, I don't mind a plug at all. Good for you. Look up that article. When was it, Don?
January 2017.
All right, January 2017. Very good. I have no doubt that if Chief Halton were still on with us, he would be all about a plug for a fire engineering artitle.
Oh yeah.
So, very, very good stuff. All right, Orlando, Steve, final words from down in the beautiful state of Florida.
I'll just say this. I'll let him talk about the question you asked, but I would say my final words would be, if you got that champion, if you got that passionate soul that's all about this, you take that person, you feed them, you take care of them, or him or her, and you give them what they need. Because again, without that core central person, this program, with the infrastructure in place, even there, I don't think it's feasible. I don't think it's sustainable. So you got to take that person and treat them right. So
I just wish I could have read that article when I started this program. I got the gray hairs, I can show you. But I can tell you again, just hang in there. Every day is going to be a learning experience, depending which school district you're working with. But the main core is to have that support. If you have that support and you have that chain, you'll have this program succeed. There's always going to be blocks, you know that in the fire service. But if you have the heart to help these kids, and like they said in the future, these are our future, and it's going to happen because communities, we are becoming a customer service based fire service, and that's our future. That is, it's right now in our step stores. So just make sure you have that, and don't worry, everything will fall in place.
Outstanding. Paul, some final thoughts.
Yeah, so just kind of like what everybody else said, I mean, having that plan from the word go, you know, as you're trying to plan everything, getting everything into place to get the program up and running, you know, meeting with your school board and school officials to make sure that everybody fully understands what it is that you're going to be doing in that classroom. You know, understanding the task that's associated with being a firefighter, you know, is critical and buying and getting their buy-in on the program. But once you get it, you know, you can't let it go. You got to keep driving that nail in, and you got to, you know, every year look for those improvements and continue to learn and continue to drive the program home. And, you know, the program will sell itself once you get successful with it. And that's kind of what we're finding out around here. So, you know, being able to show the proof that the program's working and sticking to that plan, and then rewriting the plan and improving the plan, and just, you know, having that buy-in from your administration and having them in your back pocket working with you every day will be the key to your success.
Excellent. And I'll tell you, as a little point of personal privilege, as everybody's talked over the past hour about having that person, finding that person that is absolutely the one to do it. I've got to say that myself as a captain on our job, and I know our entire command staff and training staff has every thought in the world that this is our guy. And so we're very pleased to have Jeremy in position to be starting this program for us. Certainly an exciting time for us in DFD. So Jeremy, some final thoughts?
I appreciate everything you guys have said today. It's going to be a tremendous help for me getting this program up off the ground. I'm definitely going to go check out that fire engineering article that, as I mentioned earlier, from January of 2017. I forget the name of it, but ABCs. Gentlemen, thank you for having me on the cast today, and I can't tell you how tremendously helpful this was. And I appreciate each and every one of you.
All right, guys, thank you very much. On behalf of everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brad French from Dayton, Ohio. Hope to see you back here again at the first Wednesday of the month, Focus on Training Humpday Hangout. Many thanks to Chief Halton and the entire Fire Engineering Clarion Events family. And yeah, we'll see you next month. Thanks a lot for tuning in.